has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
Immediate and unconditional resignation or dismissal of Godfrey Dame for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dame is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. 2, the immediate prosecution of Godfrey Dame for multiple violations of the laws of Ghana. We wish to make it clear that should President Akufo-Addo refuse or fail to prosecute him, a future NDC government will prosecute Godfrey Dame for this heinous crime of fabrication of evidence. 3, commencement of disciplinary proceedings by the General Legal Counsel against Godfrey Dame and his disbarment for conduct unbecoming of a lawyer, and more importantly, the leader of the Ghana Bar. 4, a publicly televised parliamentary inquiry into this and other reports of judicial manipulations by Godfrey Dame with a view to censor Godfrey Dame to prevent the recurrence of such judicial manipulations. In conclusion, friends from the media, it is clear from the incontrovertible evidence we have adduced today that the government has no evidence of wrongdoing against the minority leader, but is only involved in fabrications to persecute him as retribution for his strong opposition to the economic mismanagement and general misrule of the
The main contract and LC for every 50 of the 200. So the contract is not saying that government should establish one LC which is 15.8 million euros for the whole 200 at a go. No. Government has a bulk contract of 15.8 million euros. Now, this contract will become, the abundance will come in tranches of 50 ambulances. So you establish your LC for the 50. When that 50 has been delivered and everything sorted out and handed over, another LC is established for another subsequent 50 until you finish all the 200. That is what the contract says. So the LC that was established.
No. I don't agree with your explanation. But even this explanation, that's not what happened in this case.
Okay, what happened?
Yeah, even before this question.
Yes. Yes.
There was no business legislation. So there was no business for them to have in the first place.
No.
We know your problem.
Well, that particular place, you are getting it wrong. If you may have patience for me to explain. You are getting it wrong there because when you establish LC, the LC had conditions precedent for it to be on it. And the condition precedent states that you can only pass the LC when you present shipping documents, which is bill of lading, to the Ghana International Bank of the buyer before the LC can be on it. So even though the LC was established upon the signing of the contract was supposed to be established upon the signing of the contract, it cannot be cashed or honored. It becomes a form of security for the supplier to invest his own money. And when he ships the ambulances, he can then send a bill of lading to your bank, your bankers, to then honor the LC, because that is a condition precedent.
But in this case, even the export actually cash. Everything, that millions of actually before the goods were shipped.
No. He couldn't have the supply. There is no way under the sun he could have cashed the LC before the shipping document, which were condition precedent, was presented to the Ghana International Bank. It's because I'm innocent and I'm going through ordeal. So I'm looking at another person also going to go through ordeal and through me, because I know the truth and I decide not to say it. If I go by that way, frankly speaking, I'll be dishonest, because I know that is not how it's supposed to be about it, and how you want me to go about my answering questions and things. That time, around this time, or the ambulance are already arrived in Ghana. You are not privy to this one, I'm telling you. If we agree to this, it's so simple, it's not the case. Not agree to the way you want to go about it.
So, you let agree, you let have it away,
Yes, it will make it.
It has also involved paying for anybody.
Yes, I agree. I understand your point.
There's no advancement. Yes, why is it there's no advancement? There's no advancement ordinarily meaning in Ghana. That you don't pay until you get to goods. Now, the contract is giving the let me do that contract. It says that the contract is goods. So they're carrying upon the title of the contract.
It was the contract was drafted by government. It was done by government. And it was an AG department perused the contract and approved the contract for government.
It is not a problem. We have the approval. Every contract has been approved for later on the problems.
You see, what the difficulty I have with your position is that, you see, frankly speaking, fine, as you are saying, if I agree to your position, how you want to go about it and how you want me to go about my answering questions and things. If I go by that way, frankly speaking, I'll be dishonest, because I know that is not how it's supposed to be.
No, continue. You heard him. This is the facts, but you want me to go about it your way. And I feel that if I go about it your way, I'll be dishonest.
In principle, the caution of the court was in order, and it is something that we in the NDC agree with, and that is why right from the outset we have been very circumspect in whatever we say on this case and have assured that the court is not in any way or form scandalized. I think the particular reference to me was something that, in my humble opinion, the courts, got wrong, and I took the opportunity to draw the court's attention to the fact that the said comment was not about this court or the presiding judge in this trial.
AG is on an official assignment, and he'll be back very soon.
There are many calls that, looking at what is happening, the AG should step down.
That's the decision of the AG to make, but I don't see it that way. I do not see any tension. We are prosecuting our case. They are defending their clients, and that's how the legal system works. So far as we are doing our work in court, we continue to do it and nothing else. So there's no tension. I don't know the controversy we are talking about. A mere allegation has been made. And so if anybody thinks that he may want a committee to be set up, I disagree with such a person. And I don't see anyone who may want to even think that it's a matter that borders on the integrity of the Attorney General or any other thing. He's very resolute. He's well composed. He's out of jurisdiction. He'll be back to continue his work as an Attorney General.
2022 budget, the e-levy, and the general economic mismanagement by the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. This is the very embodiment of political witch hunt and persecution. But you see, he was a minority spokesperson on finance. And he was doing well. So as they were persecuting him, we kept promoting him because we thought he was doing very well for this country. Having set out the factual background of this whole matter, I will now proceed to address certain grave matters that have emerged from the ongoing trial, which border
on the issue concerning the former Deputy Minister for Finance during the Elsewhere Mahama administration, Honorable Atuforsen. The MPP is describing that the NDC is trying to shield the former Deputy Finance Minister to avoid the prosecution process in court.
We have called you here because the NDC have since last week set in motion a malicious scheme fueled by lies, falsehoods, misrepresentations, blackmail, and needless pollution of the mass media, with the sole intention of obstructing the course of justice and scandalizing the criminal proceedings in the High Court, all in the bid to shield Atuforsen MP, minority leader in Parliament, and former Deputy Minister of Finance, and his associates from taking responsibility for authorizing some payments which resulted in a whopping sum of 3.27 million euros lost by the state, monies that belong to us all as Ghanaians. Of the NDC and Atuforsen, if it is the firm belief of the NDC and Atuforsen that no loss had occasioned the state from its conduct, then they should just remain faithful to our judicial system and seize these malicious orchestrations targeted at bastardizing our judicial system and to prevent him from standing trial to its final conclusion. They should just keep quiet and let the proceedings in court continue. We are very clear in our minds that the cause for the resignation of the Attorney General is misplaced, unwarranted, and this will not put any spokes in the prosecution of KSL Atuforsen and his associates.
They further described the audio being played by the NDC as doctored audio by the NDC to tarnish the image of the Attorney General.
Though from the screenshots displayed, the alleged conversation is supposed to...
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
This is Pan-African Television. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. The pages to be looking for is Pan-African Television. Of course, I'm sure you're watching us on your television sets. Thank you very much for choosing the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, this morning. We are live on Radio Gold. And once again, we welcome you. I just hope you've had a good week. Now, starting today, in case, just by way of information, you are paying an 18.1% increase in electricity. And if you have the meters that have been installed in my place now, you are a dead man. Because that quadruples your electricity, the cost of your electricity, and then you add 18.1%. Just by way of that's by way of information. The response of a deputy finance minister is that this is a ritual problem. That's the only response they've gotten. And then we'll talk about the Polugu Dam project. $11.9 million spent so far. The minority insists they see no evidence of work done. The Ghana Irrigation Development Authority has catalogued a list of things they said the $11.9 million was spent on. But the minority says we need a probe into this matter. They are backed by the peasant farmers. Those are the three issues we'll be discussing this morning on the Matter of All talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. Like I said, we are live on Radio Gold. Of course, you're watching us live from the Alhaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah studio of Pan-African Television. We say a big thank you to affiliate stations across the country. I am Sena Numbo, joining us to discuss this issue this morning. Kwame Kwesi Jr. is General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. And then we have Solomon Owusu, who is a member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, the Movement of Change. Lawyer Beatrice Annan is a member of the National Democratic Congress's communication team. And then also, Kojo Chumbuafo is a former executive director of the Ghana Free Zones Authority. That's our panel for today to discuss this issue. We're already a little behind time, so we'll dive right into the first issue that has to do with the leak tape put out on the Attorney General. I'll start with Mr. Usu. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nombo. Now you are Mr. Nombo. And good morning to Comrade Pratt. Let me take this opportunity to greet all Movement for Change members across the length and breadth of this country for the yeoman's job you are doing to save Mother Ghana, especially where we are. And also to announce to you that on Monday, just this coming Monday, the 3rd of June, Mr. Alhaji will be doing a door-to-door, house-to-house, market-to-market, mosque-to-mosque, church-to-church, and crown it up with a mini rally at Koforidua, which promises to be very exciting. So all Movement for Change members in Koforidua who have been expectant, you will have your day with the next president of the land, Mr. Alhaji. And let me also use this opportunity to acknowledge the hard-working police personnel in the Western region, particularly the second in command, Commander Chidi, Kwame Chidi, for the wonderful work he and his men are doing in Second Itakrade. In fact, I visited some of the registration centers, and the level of discipline that they were making sure was available was beyond imagination. If we have such people in the service, I'm sure it will augur well for the people of this country. Senna, this morning, what are we to do? We are to discuss a tape between minister responsible for justice and accused person, Richard Japa. Now, it is very important to refresh people about all these developments and what really is the case, so that those listening to us would get the background, because people are now asking, what is this whole tape about? What were they discussing? People are now being told about what is LC, what is irrevocable, what is contract. It is becoming like Chinese in the ears of a lot of people. So it's better we explain the issues and link it to the tape and see whether or not we are being led in this country by saints or by people who plan and eat evil. On the 18th of January 2022, the government of the day, the Akufo-Addo's administration, decided to, as it were, go for the former Deputy Minister of Finance, Atokeso, the Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Sylvester Anemina, and Richard Japa, for what they describe as willfully causing financial loss to the state. And what was it? That they were supposed to buy some ambulances for the state. The ambulances were not fit for purpose, and so by which reason they have caused the state some financial loss. Ordinarily, I was happy that, hey, why must anybody misuse my tax revenue? And I'm not one of those that support the idea that when I pay taxes or when I pay tax, someone entrusted with the authority of the state must use it anyhow. So I was curious to understand what was really going on. And I read the charge sheet and I realized that things were not adding up. Because if you are someone that are used to or is used to the use of LC, you will be wondering what we're dealing with. And with your permission, I'll offer some sort of education on a letter of credit so that those that do not know will know, and then situate it in this context to make their own decision. Letter of credit. So now here too, and it is done between the buyer and the seller. You see, when in the past, buyers that want to buy, say, a mobile phone, they will send their monies to a supplier. That supply me a mobile phone. In those days, the money will go, and the supplier will refuse to bring the phones. Even when they will bring the phone that you will be expecting will not be the very phone that they will supply. Now, suppliers were also supplying buyers goods. And the moment buyers got the goods, bringing the money became another matter. So it became a challenge, and it was thwarting international trade. Business was not going on. And so the International Chamber of Commerce decided that we needed to deal with this problem. And that was how come they brought in the idea of documentary instruments, which letter of credit is one of it. That when you are a buyer and you want to buy, in this case, an ambulance, and you identify a supplier, in this case, a big C, all that you people have to do is that the two of you would agree on the terms, on the specifications, on where the very good you want to buy or goods you want to buy will be coming from or shipped from, how it's supposed to be. Then when you have done all this, you put it on paper and call it sales and purchase agreement, or what you call a contract. So when that is done between the two suppliers, or between the supplier and the buyer, then the buyer goes to his or her bank and then submit this document to the bank to go through and to reduce it to what we call letter of credit. Now, the buyer's bank, which will be the issuing bank, will then give the buyer what we call a draft letter of credit to be given to the supplier. So when the supplier gets that draft, what the supplier is supposed to do is to go through it to make sure that whatever they agreed, which is called the contract or the sales and purchase agreement, is what has been reduced in a letter of credit form. If there are any issues with it, the supplier will effect the changes on it. So it will be back and forth until all of them, both parties, that's the buyer and the supplier, comes to a conclusion that this is what we have agreed. Then the buyer will finally submit that final draft. In fact, before the buyer submits that final draft to the issuing bank or his or her bank, the supplier is supposed to sign on the draft LC that yes, this is what we have agreed. After that, then the bank issues the final LC. That is it. And so there is a consignor and a consignee. The bank only acts as an intermediary. The bank does not have anything to do with, as it were, the details of the transaction. Because the bank is not into the business of, say, if you are importing ambulance, how would the bank know the actual specifications? That is what we are dealing with. In this instant issue or case, we are talking about Big C as the supplier and Ministry of Health or the Ghana Health Service as the consignee. So anybody that facilitated the establishment of the LC becomes the bank. Now, the reason why LC is so good for international trade is that both the buyer and the supplier are protected are saved. It serves as a security. Because if you are a supplier, and we agreed that you are supposed to supply me white ambulance with four tires, and it turns out that what you brought is only 2 tires black, the buyer has every right to, as it were, reject it without paying for any money. So when I read the whole thing, and I saw the deputy finance minister's name, I was wondering why his name was, what the heck his name was doing in the whole rate. Because he is a bank. Let me put it that way. He served as a conveyor belt for the Bank of Ghana to issue the LC. So the question you ask yourself is that when those ambulances came, who inspected it to make sure that these ambulances were actually the ambulances with this specification that were ordered? Your answer will be the Ministry of Health. And so if the Ministry of Health or the Ghana Health Service, having seen the bill of lading, cross-checking everything and saying everything is okay, and instructing a bank to pay, then between the one that established the LC and the one that said there were no discrepancies, so go ahead and pay, who must be in trouble? This is the brief education that I'll give to lovers of letter of credit. Now we are told that Attorney General, very interested in this case, decides to speak to a third accused. Now when you listen to the tape carefully, there are 2 deductions that I make from it. One is either the Attorney General himself did not understand what an LC is, or needed an education as to the whole contract and the operationalization of an LC, and so needed an education from someone. Or the Attorney General was only trying to get the third accused person, and here Richard Japa, to agree with him on his suggestions so that the first accused, because as we speak there are only 2 accused persons, the second accused has been discharged, would have a problem. If you put these 2 deductions on an uneven playing field, I am tempted to go for the second deduction of he trying to get Richard Japa to side with him so that an innocent soul is jailed for no reason. I say so because if it is the case that the Attorney General was looking forward to be educated, I don't think Richard Japa qualifies as someone who is an expert when it comes to letters of credit matters, or letter of credit matters, or documentary instrument matters. And that the Attorney General has an unfettered access to experts. The man was trying very hard to let him understand certain bogus prepositions to do with international trade. That if you accept the deal, if you accept this deal, Godfrey Dami says, you do not have a problem. So if Japa would not have a problem, who would have a problem then? Because there are only 2 people in this case, Atu Forsen and Japa. So if Japa is not going to have a problem, then who would have a problem? And what sort of problem would that person have? So knowing very well that what he was doing with Japa was not professional, ethical, good, he said, I hope you are not recording me. I mean, his instinct should have told him that this evil will not go unpunished. This evil will never go unnoticed. It will be phased out and you'll be exposed on it. And even the answers that were being provided by Japan should have told him. Because anything he said, the man replied by trying to get an understanding of what you meant. For instance, I cannot agree with what you are saying, because if I do, then I will be making the life of someone miserable. I know how I've gone through. And indeed, if you have been tried on criminal charges before, I'm not too sure since 2022, Ato Forsen would have had the best of brains to be operating. I mean, knowing that one day you could go to court and you will never return, it's not an easy thing. So he realized that what he was doing was not good. And what makes it dangerous is the fact that, having said this, he was also showing the guy, advising him how to go and get a fake medical report. Is that what you people have been doing in court? We are going to come there, because this legal profession, the reason why people are rushing to do law, we would expose it today. Now, this aside, I understand with the legal profession, and here I'm very happy B is here. When you are done with your law education, you go through privilege. Is that not the case? It's supposed to be apprenticeship. Is that not it? So you go and learn from a senior member of the bar. Where did Godfrey Dami do his pupillage? Why did he do it? President Akufo-Addo's chamber. Is it the case? Is it the young ones learn from the elders? Is it the case that President Akufo-Addo's so-called acclaimed victories in legal cases were done through these means? Now I'm used to football, match fixing in football. I have never heard of legal fixing. Fixing of legal procedure. So Godfrey Dami was trained by President Akufo-Addo on how to win cases through dubious means. Now, Senator, to buttress this, your own Article 882 side with you. We must get him out at all cost. And those that are also pushing that the Attorney General has not done anything wrong, if tomorrow, which I know tomorrow Alan is going to win by a landslide, if they don't know death, they must look at how sleeping is. Have you seen what is happening in South Africa? Have you seen what Zuma has done within the shortest possible time? Have you seen how the ANC now is eating a humble pie? So those that have been making all sort of statements, trying to ridicule Mr. Alhaji, they must have a second look. But the point really is, must it be the case that if tomorrow the MPP is so in power, the president of the day, together with his Attorney General, must just prosecute people when they know that these people are innocent, but find ways and means to jail them? Is that the kind of politicking that they want us to do? And I was so surprised that the New Patriotic Party was bold enough to hold a press conference on this. Very surprised. Especially to be addressed by someone who is supposed to be a senior at the bar, Frank Davis. If someone is going down, must you go down with him? Because already Godfrey Dami has succeeded in going down with the deputy, Chiayabua, who must be innocent in this case. When this man made this allegation in court, open court, that is Richard Japa, when he made the allegation in an open court, Godfrey Dami was sitting right there. And mind you, what brought him into the matter it was not as though he, Godfrey Dami, was the one cross-examining Richard Jakpa. It was rather the counsel for the first accused, Walter McClure. Is that not the case? Yeah. So he had no business to come in. But if you read the proceedings, he was interjecting, coming in occasionally, just to try to remind Richard Jakpa that, hey, you haven't forgotten the deal that you made on phone. Your answers are not helping my case. And that is how come at a point he said, you are just in here to defend an accused. When he himself as Jakpa is an accused. So it was not as though he was quiet in court, he was talking. So if there was anything that was not true about what Jakpa said, he would have replied it right there. The man did not reply him. He allowed it to be recorded, goes out, and you innocent Yebotia, who was somewhere, maybe, I don't know whether he was even in court, you are made to go and issue a press release saying that nothing turned out that indeed something of that sort took place. Would it not be right if we were in a system where someone who is supposed to supervise justice shun away from that? The Attorney General is supposed to be advising government, and for that matter the President. Is that not also equally good? Because here we are talking about fundamental human rights. That because auto-forcing caused for the finance minister to be impeached, he believes he has to be jailed. How would he be jailed? That they have to get other accused person to testify against the Honorable auto-forcing. Now I've been thinking the last 2 days that is it worth it to even be fighting for your country? Is it worth it? That because the man is only, and I'm even wondering, the kind of opposition that what at all has auto-forcing said that is so injurious in this country. Go and check what J.H. Mensah them were doing in the early days of our democracy. Then Jerry Rawlinson would have imprisoned all of them. This small harassment, because you have criminal minds, small opposition to your efforts, and even with that, which bill was sent to this parliament that never got passed? The Akufo-Addo's administration have gotten a field day. They don't get any opposition anywhere. If they want to introduce e-levy, they do it. If they want to build their cathedral, they do it. Even their own ministers, to the extent that the very minister that wants to get him incarcerated, his own veteran, he postponed it. This opposition allowed it. They passed all the bogus ministers when the Ghanaians were saying that do not approve them. They did it for them. So what sort of opposition is the minority leader offering that he has to be your target? Then the New Patriotic comes back and say the tape has been doctored. Senator, for a tape to be doctored, it means the New Patriotic Party has the original. Is that not the case? Yeah.
And so please conclude on that note.
I was thinking that immediately they said the tape was doctored, they will play the original tape for us. And also explain to us whether or not they were there. Yeah. I would say.
So if you just join us, we are talking about the calls for the Attorney General to resign. But there's a lot of backing from the New Patriotic Party. They've put up the best defense they can summon. Well, let me do some of the comments from our Facebook page. Abiu Mandela says, we live in a dishonest country. If it were in other jurisdictions, the AG should be answering some serious questions by now. Ghana is a joke under this corrupt MEP government. Philip Abochi says, Godfrey Dami is a devious character. He uses underhand tactics to do judicial manipulation. Does that mean Godfrey Dami doesn't understand what a bill of lading is? How is he serving as a prosecutor in this case? No wonder he's forcibly asking an accused person to give false testimony to incriminate an innocent person. 2, you are prosecuting Jakpa in court and at the same time engaging him behind the scenes. What could this be, if not a calculated attempt to subvert justice? The AG is evil and has brought the high office of Attorney General into disrepute. Dami must resign. Thank you, Philip, for saying that one. Good morning to Mr. George Dissing. Ibrahim Mohammed, there's Posije, who says, let demonstration let Dami go come off immediately. Joe Azrago says, I'm not a lawyer, but from what I heard from the experts, it's an offense for a prosecutor to talk or contact an accused person without the knowledge of the lawyer of the accused person. Now, let's assume Mr. Jakpa is wrong for the secret recording. My question is, does that mean what Godfrey Dami did is legal as a lawyer? 2, and what's the purpose of Frank Davis's press conference, who is also a lawyer? And I can't understand why MPP communicators, especially Nanabi, are lamenting about the recording, saying that the conversation was longer than what has been played. So now both of us are talking. Both of us are talking. It's left for me to decide where and when I wanted to record. It's my choice. If the MPP feels the tape has been tampered with, they should organize another press conference and play it to the hearing of all Ghanaians. With this development, to me, Mr. Jakpa knows the law more than the Attorney General and Frank Davis. In this world, you can lie to all the people, but you can't lie to all at the same time. Let me do Hamza and Pig Farm, then I'll come to Bidri Sanan. This one is my, Hamza says, my humble opinion, this country needs serious prayers.
Sana, good morning. Today, because of Godfrey Dami, Solo is attacking all lawyers. And oh yes, he is, unfortunately so. But on this matter, I don't even know where to take the matter from again, because seriously now I'm mentally tired. I was thinking by this time either Godfrey Dami himself would have resigned or would have had a statement from the office of the president so that it can guide our discussions going forward. But it appears that the presidency is adamant. Godfrey Dami himself is outside the country having fun. And so it appears the gravity of the matter is lost on us. And I think that the MPP is engaged in something that I'll call on all Ghanaians to begin to. And then you are now being caned with wood. Although you are being caned, you feel that, oh, the pain is not as compared to the past. So maybe, I mean, I think that we should all be conscious of this, that the MPP is deliberately choking us with scandals. Many people have criticized the NDC and said that you people are not as vocal as the MPP when it comes to scandal. You know why? And for the listeners and viewers, under President Mahama, you could practically count 1 and 2. So for every communication line, you have 1 and 2. Those 100 different things happening in different sectors of the economy. In our great, there is a scandal. In health, we can't even manage it. In the economy, bobo. Now when we thought that, oh, as a lawyers, I mean, how bad can it get? Sometimes you wonder. It's just the male lawyers who sometimes you have 1 or 2 immoral scandals of they being involved with a woman here and there. But otherwise, for lawyers, you'll be wondering what scandal could the lawyer possibly be engaged in, because the profession is said that you're always trying to get someone out of trouble, that you even forget yourself. And so for us to be having this discussion at the time when our country is reeling under I don't know. Everything is not right. The MPP is telling, I'll come to the contents of the whole matter, but the MPP is telling us that, you know what, it is so grave an error that we are having to talk about some 2.3 million euros, and that let the heaven falls, even if Atuforsen goes to prison, that we don't even want to take the monies back, that we want to give the people of Ghana so much justice, that we are being told that how much is involved in Pualugu for mobilization, how much for the SML due, how much for this company that they gave the money to do mobilization on the motorway, that nothing is happening. And some way, somehow, they've left all these things and they just want to convict an innocent man. You see, I think in 2022, when the budget was read, in all fairness to Parliament, I think it was Atuforsen who saw the e-levy. Because, you know, in that budget, what they did was that they scrapped the toll. And then they took off some taxes on some items so that the communication line will be that, oh, they read the budget, oh, some taxes have been, and you know how they dub the tax? Electronic transaction levy. So you would think that it's something for big companies. You know, the communication line would have been that, oh, it was maybe multinationals who would be transferring their funds out. Then Honorable Atuforsen says, my people, let's say, how sent you are, because of the event of uncertainty, you can never be yourself. You can imagine, even if you are driving, a policeman stops you by the road. You haven't done anything wrong, but the mere fact that the policeman has even stopped you, it puts you in a certain position. Worst of all, if you don't have 50 cedis to pay the policeman, then you waste your time there. And so for a minority leader to be going through this, and when even the evidence has sought to suggest that this man practically did not